Today on MTG Unpacked, we're getting stuck into the new Duskmourn Commander deck, Miracle Worker. So this is a white, blue, black deck. The commander here, a Minotaur Veil Piercer. So you might remember this character from Minotaur Fate Shifter. I think it was Commander 2018. So coming back here for this one. And we have these Archenemy cards as well. So that's a 3 against 1 multiplayer format. Bit of a twist on Commander. So we also get a Collector Booster Sample Pack. 100 card deck with 10 new cards. The 10 Archenemy cards, 10 double-sided tokens. Deck box, strategy, insert, and reference card. Let's get into it. So these decks going for about 41 bucks on TCG Player right now. So that price is about right for what you get, considering they don't have retail prices anymore. Okay, so what do we got here? We have a envelope, we've got the deck in its own little pocket there, some other stuff here as well, and a flyer. We've got some locked doors here, so that's the new door enchantment mechanics, some punch outs here as well. And inside here we have a collector booster sample pack, along with something you could call a deck box, but it's sort of cheap and cheerful. So you can put your sleeved up deck in here. I guess that would fit, but I would not recommend it. And then in here we have these cool Archenemy cards. So these are the same size as those Plane Chase cards you might be aware of. So before we get into anything else, let's get into the Collector Booster Sample Pack, giving us a bit of a taste of the Collector Booster goodness. So more where that came from, of course. What do we got? Screaming Nemesis Mythic. Okay, so you don't normally do that well. Nice borderless art on that. And a foil Midnight Mayhem. So get that in focus. Alright, so we did reasonably well out of that one. Let's take a look at what this deck is all about. So we have a Minotaur Veil Piercer. So you can read some lore here about this character and playing the deck. Then on the other side here, special rules for Archenemy. So you don't have to play Archenemy with this deck, but you can if you want. We've got commander rules here. So it looks pretty cool. I like that. It gives a little bit more playability to this deck. Okay, and let's get into the deck itself. We'll take a look at the Archenemy cards later in the video. And starting off here, and by the way, they don't have the thick cardstock commanders anymore, or the life counter, so I guess people weren't that excited about those, so they got rid of them. So we have a Minotaur Veil Piercer. It's a mythic, 2/4 for 1 white, blue and black. Legendary creature, human wizard. At the beginning of your upkeep, surveil 2. So that means look at the top 2 cards of your library, then put any number of them into your graveyard and the rest on the top of your library in any order. So you can essentially see the future with that one. Each enchantment card in your hand has Miracle. Its Miracle cost is equal to its mana cost reduced by 4. So you may cast a card for its Miracle cost when you draw it, if it's the first card you drew this turn. Alright, and then next one here, the other commander, we have the Master of Keys, another mythic. Legendary enchantment creature, horror, 3/3 for X, white, blue, and black, has flying, and when it enters, put X +1/+1 counters on it, and mill twice X cards. And each enchantment card in your graveyard has escape. The escape cost is equal to the card's mana cost, plus exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. You may cast cards from your graveyard for their escape cost. Alright. And then we'll grab a chunk of the deck here. Then we have a bottomless pool and locker room. So this is an enchantment room. So you may cast either half, and that door unlocks on the battlefield as a sorcery. You may pay the mana cost of a locked door to unlock it. So the bottomless pool for blue, when you unlock this door, return up to one target creature to its owner's hand. And the locker room for 4 and a blue, whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Then we have a Terramorphic Expanse, land, tap, sack it, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. We've got an Auramancer, creature, human wizard, 2/2 for 2 and white. When it enters, you may return target enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. Swords to Plowshares, instant for a single white, exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. And Moonblessed Cleric, creature, human, elf, cleric, 3/2 for 2 and a white. When it enters, you may search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top. We have Ponder, sorcery for a blue. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put them back in any order. You may shuffle, draw a card. Portent, sorcery for a single blue. Look at the top 3 cards of target player's library, then put them back in any order. You may have that player shuffle, draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. Telling Time, instant for 1 and a blue. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, 1 on top of your library, and 1 on the bottom of your library. So you're essentially getting the cards you want when you want them. We've got a Diabolic Vision, sorcery for blue and black. Look at the top 5 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest on top of your library in any order. And then we got an Arcane Signet, artifact for 2. Tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Soul Ring in pretty much every commander deck these days, artifact for 1. Tap for 2 colorless. Command Tower, land, tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Cast Out, enchantment for 3 and a white, has flash when it enters. Exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until cast out leaves the battlefield. Cycle it for white. And then Return to Dust, instant for 2 and 2 white. Exile target artifact or enchantment. If you cast a spell during your main phase, you may exile up to 1 other target artifact or enchantment. Sphere of Safety, enchantment for 4 and white. Creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless their controller pays X for each of those creatures, where X is the number of enchantments you control. Arcane Denial, instant for 1 and a blue, counter target spell. Its controller may draw up to 2 cards at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. You draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. And then we have an Archetype of Imagination, enchantment, creature, human wizard, 3/2 for 4 and 2 blue. Creatures you control have flying. Creatures your opponents control lose flying and can't have or gain flying. Brainstorm, instant for a single blue. Draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. And Otherworldly Gaze, instant for a single blue. Has Surveil 3, so we learned about that from the commander. Has Flashback for 1 and a blue. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, then exile it. Thirst for Meaning, instant for 2 and a blue. Draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard an enchantment card. The Eldest Reborn, enchantment saga for 4 and a black. So as this saga enters and after your draw step, add a lore counter, sack it after 3. So on the first turn, each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Each opponent discards a card. Or on the third turn, put target creature or planeswalker card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Then we have Read the Bones, sorcery for 2 and a black. Scry 2, then draw 2 cards. You lose 2 life. So to scry, look at the top 2 cards of your library, then put any number of them on the bottom and the rest on the top in any order. Azorius Signet, artifact for 2, for 1 tap, add white and blue. And then we have Brainstone, artifact for 1, for 2 tap, sack it, draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. Burnished Heart, artifact creature elk, 2/2 for 3. For 3, sack it, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Commander's Sphere, artifact for 3, tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity, and if you sacrifice it, draw a card. Mind Stone artifact for 2, tap 4 colorless for 1, tap sack it, draw a card. And Orzhov Signet artifact for 2, for 1, tap add white and black. Redress Fate, sorcery for 6 and 2 white, return all artifact and enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Has Miracle 3 and a white, so you can cast this card for its miracle cost when you draw it if it's the first card you drew this turn. So same mechanic as the commander. And then we have a Secret Arcade for 4 and a white, enchantment room. Non-land permanents you control and permanent spells you control are enchantments in addition to their other types. Then we have a Dusty Parlor for 2 and a white. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to that spell's mana value on up to 1 target creature. Then we have a Soaring Lightbringer, enchantment creature Bird Glimmer, so it's a 4/5 for 4 and a white with flying. Other enchantment creatures you control have flying. Whenever you attack a player, create a 1/1 white Glimmer enchantment creature token that's tapped and attacking that player. Fear of Sleep Paralysis, enchantment creature Nightmare, 6/6 for 5 and a blue with flying. It has Eerie, so whenever it or another enchantment you control enters, and whenever you fully unlock a room, tap up to 1 target creature and put a stun counter on it. Stun counters can't be removed from permanents your opponents control, so they won't untap if they have stun counters on them. Ancient Cellar Spawn, enchantment creature Horror, 3/3 for 1 and 2 black. Each spell you cast that's a demon, horror, or nightmare costs 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast it was less than its mana value, target opponent loses life equal to the difference. Okay, so we'll grab another chunk of deck here. Going up to the basic lands, I think. So we've got another room here. We have Cramped Vents for 3 and a black. When you unlock this door, this room deals 6 damage to target creature and opponent controls. You gain life equal to the excess damage dealt this way. And Access Maze for 5 and 2 black. Once during each of your turns, you may cast a spell from your hand by paying life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. Then we have Metamorphosis Fanatic, creature human cleric, 4/4 for 4 and 2 black, has lifelink. When it enters, return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a lifelink counter on it. And you can play this for Miracle 1 and a black. Phenomenon Investigators, creature human detective, 3/4 for 2 blue and black. As Phenomenon Investigators enters, choose Believe or Doubt. So if you choose Believe, whenever a non-token creature you control dies, create a 2/2 black horror enchantment creature token. If you choose Doubt at the beginning of your end step, you may return a non-land permanent you own to your hand. If you do, draw a card. Then we have Mesa Enchantress, creature human druid, 0/2 for 1 and 2 white. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you may draw a card. And of course, tons of enchantments in this deck. Terminus, it's a sorcery for 4 and 2 white. Put all creatures on the bottom of their owner's libraries. Miracle for a single white. A Minotaur's Augury, sorcery for 6 and 2 blue. Exile the top 8 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield until end of turn. For each non-land card type, you may cast a spell of that type from among the exiled cards without paying its mana cost. Utter End, an instant for 2 white and black. Exile target non-land permanent. And Entreat the Angels, sorcery for X, X, and 3 white. Create X 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and has Miracle for X and 2 white. Monologue Tax, enchantment for 2 and a white. Whenever an opponent casts a second spell each turn, you create a treasure token. Ondu Spirit Dancer, creature core cleric, 3/3 for 4 and a white. Whenever an enchantment you control enters, you may create a token that's a copy of it. Do this only once each turn. Then we have Sigil of the Empty Throne. It's an enchantment for 3 and 2 white. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. Starfield Mystic, creature human cleric, 2/2 for 1 and a white. Enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Some of an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield. Put a +1/+1 counter on Starfield Mystic. Then we have a Timely Ward, enchantment aura For 2 and white, you may cast Timely Ward as though it had flash if it targets a commander. Enchant creature, the enchanted creature has indestructible. Verge Rangers, creature, human scout ranger, 3/3 for 2 and white with first strike. You may look at the top card of your library anytime, and as long as an opponent controls more lands than you may play lands from the top of your library. So you play a land this way only if you have an available land play remaining. Dream Eater, creature, nightmare, sphinx, 4/3 for 4 and 2 blue, has flash and flying. When it enters Surveil 4, when you do, you may return target non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand. Then we have Extravagant Replication Enchantment for 4 and 2 blue. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of another target non-land permanent you control. Mirror Maid Enchantment for 1 and 2 blue. You may have Mirror Maid enter as a copy of any artifact or enchantment on the battlefield. One with the Multiverse Enchantment for 6 and 2 blue. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. Once during each of your turns, you may cast a spell from your hand or the top of your library without paying its mana cost. Then we have Prognostic Sphinx, creature Sphinx, 3/5 for 3 and 2 blue with flying. Discard a card and it gains hexproof until end of turn. Tap it. Whenever Prognostic Sphinx attacks, scry 3. And Shark Typhoon, yes! Enchantment for 5 and a blue. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create an X blue shark creature token with flying, where the X is that spell's mana value. Cycle it for X, 1 and a blue. And when you cycle Shark Typhoon, create an X blue shark creature token with flying. Then we have Arvanox the Mind Flail. It's a mythic legendary enchantment creature horror. 9/9 for 4 and 3 black. Arvanox the Mind Flail isn't a creature unless you control 3 or more permanents you don't own. And at the beginning of your end step, exile the bottom card of each opponent's library face down. For as long as those cards remain exiled, you may look at them, you may cast permanent spells from among them, and you may spend mana as well or mana of any colour to cast those spells. Then we have Demon of Fate's Design, enchantment creature, demon, 6/6 for 4 and 2 black, has flying and trample. Once during each of your turns, you may cast an enchantment spell by paying life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. And for 2 and a black, sacrifice another enchantment. Demon of Fate's Design gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the sacrifice enchantment's mana value. Doomwake Giant, enchantment creature giant, 4/6 for 4 and a black, has Constellation. Whenever Doomwake Giant or another enchantment you control enters creatures your opponents control, get -1/-1 until end of turn. Nightmare Shepherd, enchantment creature demon, 4/4 for 2 and 2 black with flying. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's 1/1 and is a nightmare in addition to its other types. Athreos Shroud Veiled, legendary enchantment creature god, another mythic, 4/7 for 4 white and black, has indestructible. As long as your devotion to white and black is less than 7, Athreos isn't a creature. At the beginning of your end step, put a coin counter on another target creature, and whenever a creature with a coin counter on it dies or is put into exile, return that card to the battlefield under your control. Then we have Ink Shield, instant for 3 white and black. Prevent all combat damage that will be dealt to you this turn. For each 1 damage prevented this way, create a 2/1 white and black Inkling creature token with flying. Then we have Life Insurance, enchantment for 3 white and black, has Extort. So whenever you cast a spell, you may pay either white or black, and if you do, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain that much life. Whenever a non-token creature dies, you lose 1 life and create a treasure token. Spirit Sister's Call, another mythic enchantment for 3 white and black. At the beginning of your end step, choose target permanent card in your graveyard. You may sacrifice a permanent that shares a card type with the chosen card. If you do, return the chosen card from your graveyard to the battlefield and it gains. If this permanent would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. Then we have Time Wipe, sorcery for 2 white and a blue. Return a creature you control to its owner's hand, then destroy all creatures. Solemn Simulacrum, artifact creature golem, 2/2 for 4. When it enters, you may search your library for a basic land card, put that card onto battlefield tapped, then shuffle, and when Solemn Simulacrum dies, you may draw a card. Then we got some lands. Adakar Waste, tap 4 colorless, tap for white or blue, and it deals 1 damage to you. Caves of Koilos, tap 4 colorless, or tap for white or black, and it deals 1 damage to you. Hall of Heliod's Generosity, tap 4 colorless for 1 and a white. Tap, put target enchantment card from your graveyard on top of your library. Templar Deceit enters tapped. When it enters scry 1, tap 4 blue or black. And Temple of Enlightenment enters tapped. When it enters scry 1, tap for white or blue. Temple of Silence enters tapped. When it enters scry 1, tap for white or black. And Underground River, tap 4 colorless or tap 4 blue or black, and it deals 1 damage to you. Arcane Sanctum enters tapped. Tap for white, blue or black. Ash Barrens, tap 4 colorless, has basic land cycling 1, so you pay 1, discard this card. You get to search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle. Azorius Chancery enters tapped. When it enters, return a land you control to its owner's hand, tap for white or blue. Bajuka Bog enters tapped. When it enters, exile target player's graveyard, tap for black. Demir Aqueduct enters tapped. When it enters, return a land you control to its owner's hand, tap for blue and black. Evolving Wilds, tap, sack it, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. And Halimar Depths enters tapped. When it enters, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put them back in any order, tap for blue. And Obscura Storefront. When it enters, sacrifice it. When you do, search your library for a basic plains, island, or swamp, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle, and you gain 1 life. Oars of Basilica enters tapped. When it enters, return a land you control to its owner's hand, tap 4 white and black. And Tainted Field, tap 4 colorless, tap for white or black, activate only if you control a swamp. Tainted Isle, tap 4 colorless, or tap for blue or black, activate only if you control a swamp. And Thriving Heath enters tapped. As it enters, choose a color other than white, add white or 1 mana of the chosen color. Thriving Isle, same deal, but choose a color other than blue. You get to add blue or 1 mana of the chosen color. And Thriving Moor, as it enters, choose a color other than black, and also enters tapped. Tap for black or 1 mana of the chosen color. Okay, so then we have a bunch of basic lands here. So we have plains, 5 of those, islands, 4 of those, swamps, 5 of those, okay. And then our tokens, so we've got a 4/4 angel with flying. On the other side, treasure token, tap this artifact, add 1 mana of any color. Another angel, treasure, angel, and a 1/1 glimmer. We've got a 2/2 horror on the other side, 1/1 glimmer. Star flying shark, that is just pure awesomeness. Copy on the other side. Another shark, another copy. 2/2 horror, copy. 2/1 flying inkling. We've got a scarecrow 4/4 vigilance. Another inkling, scarecrow, glimmer, 1/1. On the other side, a 4/4 scarecrow with vigilance. And parts of the turn, popular Magic formats. Okay, so now we'll get into the Archenemy cards. So these things, giant oversized things, similar to the Plane Chase cards, but Archenemy is a different format. Okay, so we have Choose Your Demise. So this is a scheme. When you set this scheme in motion, look at the top 4 cards of your library and separate them into face-down pile and a face-up pile. An opponent chooses one of those piles. Put the cards in that pile into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Then we have Behold the Power of Destruction. When you set this scheme in motion, destroy all non-land permanents target opponent controls. Oh, delightful. You cannot hide from me. An ongoing scheme, so this remains face up until it's abandoned. At the beginning of combat on your turn, up to 1 target creature gets +2/+2 and gains vigilance until end of turn. It can't be blocked this turn. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player is less than half their starting life total, abandon this scheme. Then we have My Champion Stands Supreme. So this is another ongoing scheme. Your commander has Ward 2, so whenever your commander attacks, put 2+1/+1 counters on it. When your commander leaves the battlefield, abandon this scheme. Then we have Only I Know What Awaits. When you set this scheme in motion, for each card type among permanents your opponents control, you may put a permanent card of that type from your hand onto the battlefield. My Followers Ascend. When you set this scheme in motion, put 5+1/+1 counters on a creature you control and it gains flying and vigilance until end of turn. If you control no creatures, instead create a 4/4 colorless Scarecrow artifact creature token with vigilance. Time Bends to My Will. So when you set this scheme in motion, take an extra turn after this one, skip the untap step of that turn. And I Am Duskmourn. Ongoing scheme. At the beginning of your end step, you may cast a spell from your hand without paying its mana cost. If you do, abandon this scheme. Then we have My Wealth Will Bury You. When you set this scheme in motion, create a number of treasure tokens equal to the number of artifacts and enchantments your opponents control. If they control fewer than 4 artifacts and enchantments, create 4 treasure tokens instead. And a Premonition of Your Demise. When you set this scheme in motion, reveal the top 2 cards of your library and put them into your hand. When you reveal 1 or more non-land cards this way, the scheme deals damage equal to their total mana value to any target. Alright, so some fun Archenemy cards there. So this deck, very different to the last one. We're primarily relying on lots of enchantments and peeking ahead at our deck so we can get the card draw we want. And also getting enchantments back from the graveyard and things like that. So let me know in the comments what you think about this deck. Are you planning to pick it up? And stay tuned, we'll get stuck into the remaining Duskmourn Commander decks in the coming days. Hope everyone's staying safe and healthy out there. Thanks for watching and have a great day.